Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, dude?
On the 6, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right, we just spent a little 15 minutes trying to understand the United States strategy on acquiring Bitcoin, and I think we got it.
Yeah, I think we've known this strategy. It's funny just seeing like the confirmation, I guess, from others. It's like I think it's becoming pretty obvious the pathway. I guess to the point where we incorporated that into the NAT paper and everything.
We did.
I think I think it's like I think it's core and fundamental understanding everybody needs to kind of align with.
Yeah.
At least initially, right? Just to understand like what is the pathway moving forward to this point, right? With cryptocurrency and like the state of macroeconomics and everything.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, for you to come to a fundamental value consensus around, you know, what it is, what Bitcoin is in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
You had to understand the macro situation of that time and like, you know, the potential pitfalls of, you know, the traditional monetary system.
Yeah. Right? It must have been really challenging back in 2009 because you had to know how fiat currencies worked, which in 2009 I did. But then you would have to understand cryptography and the implications of like, you know, public and private keys and hashing and mining and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And how you can actually set a 21 million cap token and how you lock that down with like decentralization and mining and all that stuff. So you would have to know a lot in that time in order to perceive value within Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And so that clearly was a very difficult thing to do, and only very few did. But, you know, obviously some did, and they took advantage of it. And what's interesting is this strategy to adopt Bitcoin, it's not like how you would think where the United States like dumps their gold and then buys their Bitcoin. Like that's not how it's going to work.
Yeah, there's a little bit more finesse involved.
Yeah, because it would be too obvious and it would send too much of a strong signal, which could destabilize the economy as a result. And the United States and the people behind the curtains, they're really smart. They know how to do this.
Yeah, we were just kind of like speculating before we turned on the cameras. Like, who are these smart people, right? It's like, who got the memo? Who sent the memo?
It's got to be like Harvard economist David Sachs, like
just all David.
Yeah,
this is all David's doing. I don't know.
It's got to be.
Is it Trump? Right? Because I remember, you know, everyone was excited when Trump was running for president. Oh, specifically, crypto people were very excited.
Yeah.
You know, people like us, like, dude, because we experienced 4 years of essentially opposition.
Torpedoes.
Yeah. So the previous administration either doesn't believe that, you know, there is like a systemic problem with the dollar or the monetary system or whatever. And maybe they do.
They were kings of like just kicking the can down the road. It's just
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
They're more like in a complacent state, right? It's like, you know, this is just how things are moving along. And but they're also receiving data. They have smart Harvard analysts in their cabinet, right? And it's like, hey, you know, there's this Bitcoin thing, you know, but somehow they didn't interpret that memo, whoever's sending them out. Maybe it's Satoshi, I don't know.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, there's this Bitcoin thing and it can be levered to your
you can actually leverage it to your advantage.
Yeah, so they're like, hell no. We need to like stop this thing actually. So then incoming Trump, but as he's coming in, he wasn't necessarily like a big champion, right? I remember there was like a tone of reluctance or like skepticism even still like during his campaign trail, almost like mockery in a sense. Like, okay, I guess I got to stand here.
Yeah, talk about your little Bitcoin.
Exactly, those are the exact words. This little Bitcoin thing I keep hearing about.
Bitcoins.
Yeah, but that was good enough for us, right? It's like, you know,
he said it twice.
We're all freaking hyped about it. But somebody around him had to have started this game plan all the way back then in order for what we're witnessing now to come to fruition, right?
I think the Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act, all these are chips on the table, like positioning themselves in the chessboard to form this attack.
Right. Yeah, so then it's more of like a real-time situation, you're saying. Like, because, I guess the alarm bells, maybe I think BRICS might have been like an inflection point for
It's true.
the understanding and realization that, oh shit, the jig is up, right? It's like the rest of the nations are aligning against us because they see through the smoke and mirror.
I think it was COVID where we printed like almost 50% of the supply.
It's true. Maybe it stems from that, actually.
And then, all the countries were looking around. I was like, can they do this? It's like, well, they did do this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's time to maneuver.
That's true. Yeah. I guess it all starts probably from there.
Yeah.
Like that was the big awakening from like a macroeconomic perspective. It's like, oh shit, this thing is like a ticking time bomb. And I guess you could go back and just look at gold charts. When did gold start moving? It's like that's probably like the signal actually for when like central banks and government institutions started to take notice, because that's like an obvious signal, right? That's gold. It typically only moves around when there's like economic uncertainty. So yeah, I guess once we started to see gold really reprice, that's probably our inflection point.
Yeah, I'm looking for the gold chart. And so we're going to tie this back to why this is important to NAT. But yeah, gold is at an all-time high. It's at $3,600 per ounce.
That's a nice chart, dude.
Yeah, so let me zoom out.
What the hell, dude? Man, I really regret selling my gold at 1,800 an ounce, dude.
Yeah.
Wrecked.
Get wrecked. Get mega wrecked.
Let's do regular.
Wow. Dude, this is very unusual.
Hold on, let me refresh here.
I mean, I guess under this perspective lens, it really...
Yeah, man, look at that. This is logarithmic.
It's just been on a tear for a while now.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Bitcoin, right?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, so I guess this isn't really that helpful, to be honest.
Well, this just means that there's a lot of people buying gold, and I would guess that the people don't have a lot of money to buy gold, but countries do, and so they're the ones moving the price here. Yeah.
So I guess one of the other interesting counterparts to this is like that gold to Bitcoin ratio chart, where because you keep asking the question is like, when is Bitcoin going to essentially outperform gold from like a hard monetary value perspective, not like a USD valuation perspective, right? Because when you compare Bitcoin to fiat, of course it looks like it's doing well, right?
Yeah,
because fiat's like an eroding.
Yeah, so if you think that Bitcoin at $120,000 is like some sort of all-time high, it is priced in dollars, but priced in gold, I mean, we haven't reached previous all-time highs yet.
Yeah, so the question is, I mean, understanding the macro picture, right? I don't foresee the demand for gold to go down anytime soon.
No,
right?
No, it's got a 100,000-year head start.
Yeah, but right now, for whatever reason, these competing nations, maybe they just haven't understood, or I don't know. Maybe there's just competing memos out, right? There's like the United States memo, which is like, okay, we're gonna scoop all this Bitcoin through these Bitcoin treasury companies. At some point, we're gonna flip the switch; all their gold becomes ours.
Yep.
And then there's another memo out there being slung out by China and Russia and other nations. It's like, we all need to be buying gold.
Yeah.
In reaction to this.
Yeah.
Is there another switch though, where they're like, we should probably also buy Bitcoin?
I don't know. I think so. History kind of repeats itself. It sort of rhymes. And back when the decision had to be made whether you buy gold or buy silver, China chose to buy silver.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Because it was cheaper, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they chose silver, but they did, and they lost.
Damn.
Right? So I think the countries buying gold, I think they're going to lose. Not in the short term, but eventually they're going to lose, because the world needs stablecoins, right? Because their competitor are, bolivars and pesos and all these coins that do terrible against it, and they just get inflated, right?
Yeah.
And so the United States dollar also gets inflated, but it doesn't get inflated to the same rate.
Mm-hmm.
And so people would just rather have they have their shiny phones, and then they have apps that supports, digital currencies, and they're going to be trading in stable coins.
Yeah.
And they're going to be denominated by the dollar. And so now the whole world is essentially using dollars through these stable coins.
Yeah, so that's becoming the obvious realization so far this cycle. I mean, every week now we're seeing new stablecoin products hit the market. Phantom just dropped theirs, Cash.
Yeah.
I mean, Tether is creating a whole other stablecoin called USAT. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're just following the jurisdiction rules. Yeah,
this is our U.S. counterpart, I guess. And then there's buckets coming ahead, right? Because the framework is in place now, and it's essentially a money machine for all involved participants, right? So long as you have the proper rails of distribution, right?
Yeah, and guess who has all the people? Apps, Facebook,
apps,
Google.
It's true.
Stripe is also supporting stablecoins.
Yeah, they have a whole create your own stablecoin platform, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this reminds me of NFTs last cycle, where it's everybody who could and should have made an NFT basically did.
Yeah.
Last cycle.
Yeah, it's just the implications of this is so huge.
Well, because this 100%. This is not just
pictures.
Internet culture, or just cultural,
cultural
energy
comedy.
vibes. Yeah, where you see PepsiCo and Meta being cheeky on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's we're gonna make it, right, bro? It's we're gonna make it.
Yeah,
shit like that, right? That was the implications. Of NFTs. That was the max outcome. Is companies memeing one another. But this is serious.
Yeah.
This is serious shit.
Yeah.
What's happening as far as the government leveraging the rails of crypto to extend its dominance, right? And then the rest of the world has to receive this knowledge and react in some kind of way.
Yeah, they'll have to position themselves in a way where they win, or in a way that they lose.
Potentially lose, like you're saying. It's another history repeat, because they've been conditioned to think a certain way for so long, right? And it's difficult to adjust to the reality of technology and the digitization of everything and all that stuff, right? And for whatever reason, I mean, the United States seems to be the first mover here, right? I mean, I guess because of the sense of urgency, maybe that's why the United States was forced to play this hand. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever that shadow entity is, right? That's leveraging Trump as that puppet. Whether it's David Sachs.
Yeah. So they chose Bitcoin over gold.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they're telling Trump, it's go out there and tell them that, tell them that.
Tell them. Yeah.
And we're even thinking about selling some of our gold at some point.
Yeah.
That just magically cannot really be disclosed how much or where it is. It's I remember Elon was trying to get in there.
Yep. Nope.
Magically.
No audits.
Yeah.
No proof. Nothing.
You just can't disclose the actual holding amount, right?
Yeah. So I find it interesting that we even have a chart that represents people accumulating gold. What I'm curious what the mechanism is. What are you buying here?
Yeah, where's the Brinks trucks just hauling gold around?
Yeah, when you buy this, what exactly are you buying? Is it just promissory notes where it's
I would imagine, right?
You buy, if you spend $3,800, you have an ounce of gold promissory note.
Well, but I mean, you could, I guess for larger quantities, yeah. I mean, for logistical purposes, I would imagine it's just paper trades, right? But for smaller quantities, you could just order it.
Well, because
online.
the reason why I ask is because hundreds of billions of dollars are being paper traded on Bitcoin, and it's not being reflected in the charts.
That's a good point, yeah.
So how does this make it into the chart is what I'm curious. Where's the vault with the gold, and where are the paper trades?
It's Peter Schiff, isn't it? It's Peter Schiff's account.
His house.
It's in his basement.
Yeah,
Good.
he's just moving gold around and,
He's on the phone all day and
tweeting about it.
Yeah.
I guess somebody bought some gold, guys.
Yeah.
Price go up.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, because if you go back to the Bitcoin side of things, it's you look back at the last cycle, like where Bitcoin kind of banana zoned its way from like, I don't know, what is it, like 20K to 60K?
Yeah.
It was pretty explosive. And at that time, it's like, it was really just Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin. There really was like no buzz from any other institution or like corporate buyer.
Yeah.
It was just Michael Saylor.
Yeah. Like, Elon Musk was tweeting about it.
That's true. That was significant. That probably brought a lot of retail interest.
Yeah, and what dumped it is Elon said that Bitcoin's consuming too much energy. Remember that?
Yeah. Is that like a fat? Oh, no, it's not. I was going to say like a giant red wick. It didn't dump that hard, but it did dump. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I like Doge better.
Yeah.
And then he got on the Doge wagon in that sense. So, yeah. But the point is, there's just like way more like heavy big time actors buying Bitcoin this time around, and it doesn't seem to be reflecting as dramatically on the charts.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. I can't explain it either. I think these are paper trades.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But again, all of gold is paper trades. So how does this happen? And maybe gold has had such a head start, so they just kind of cleaned it up, and so it's just directly reflected on the chart, and Bitcoin hasn't reached that degree of like smooth pricing off of paper trades. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I guess the underlying question here is, you got gold and you've got Bitcoin. I mean, the demand can increase for both simultaneously, and there doesn't have to be some sort of like real flippening when it comes to the ratio. I mean, of course, it probably will, just because Bitcoin, it has more asynchronous upside opportunity to it because it's at a lower market cap valuation.
Mm-hmm.
So you would expect it once it hits some sort of inflection point, whatever that is. I guess like formal recognition, right? No longer this covert operation.
Yeah,
people are just kind of speculating, assuming this is the United States plan. But once it becomes like,
I wonder what
essentially announced, right?
How do you make it clear? Like what is the thing if it's not Stablecoin Act and the Genius Act and all? How else do you make it clear that this is happening?
What is it? The BSA, right? The Bitcoin Strategic, or BSR, what's it called?
Yeah, the Strategic
Reserve.
Yeah,
like,
but
that has to be like a formalized thing, right? And that's what everybody's kind of like pushing for, advocating.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's like an account with Bitcoin in it. Like that may not be. That's what we expect it to be, a strategic reserve. Where it's like, here's an address. This is America's address, and it holds 1 million Bitcoin. Like that may not be what happens. And so we're gonna share this link. So shout out to Mark Moss. So he explains exactly how the United States plans to devalue the $37 trillion in debt. And there's a section here that starts around 6 minutes that explains that, and he suggests that the way that the United States are going to do it is through MicroStrategy, Marathon, and all these like Bitcoin strategy companies, and the United States is going to create some sort of subsidy that turns into warrants for these companies, and the United States will own a percentage of these companies, and therefore that might be the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve.
I see.
So it's not an account. It's more like a balance sheet.
Yeah, shared ownership, if you will.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's implied. It's like, these companies, they get to operate, and lever themselves Bitcoin.
Yep.
So that they remain in their strengthening positioning.
Yeah, they continue to gather Bitcoin.
Yeah, and other digital hard assets like Bitcoin, so that they can remain essentially these dealers of the dollar.
Yeah.
The issuers of stable coins over time.
Yeah.
Because they need that kind of reserve strength. But yeah, the implied side of it all is like, really, that's our stuff.
Yeah.
We're the government.
Yeah.
In case you didn't.
And you're going to like it.
Yeah. Where's your military?
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever we say goes, and then the rest of the world has to recognize that. And it's like, because of that, we continue to do what we do.
You know what other countries are going to do? They're going to ban the stable coin from like merchants and restaurants and all this stuff. And you have to use our shit coin.
our version of the same
Yeah,
thing?
exactly.
Our CBDC?
Yes, backed by gold.
Or whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That, man, yeah. Essentially, we're replaying the same thing. The same, like, macro geopolitical, like, ballet.
Yeah.
But in the digital version of it.
Yeah, and the thing is that their currency will still devalue way faster than the U.S. version of it as a stable coin.
Exactly.
And so people with apps, they're going to probably still use stable coins. But they'll have to, play the game. If you go to a restaurant, you have to like use, whatever currency that they accept.
Well, hold on. What restaurant? What are you talking about? Where? What restaurant?
In other countries.
Okay.
Right.
So
they will ban stable coins because it's the US dollar, right?
But they'll have like their own.
They'll have their own, which is backed by gold, but that currency will still devalue faster than the stable coin, right? The US stable coin.
So the user experience will just be like,
yeah,
I'm at the restaurant.
I'm going to convert it real quick.
Yeah, convert my phantom bucks.
Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
To whatever.
To the Bolivar.
I don't know, dude. I don't know my currencies, obviously. Yeah. Whatever the meme coins of the future end up being like across the world. Man, that's weird. But that makes sense, kind of.
That's how they're going to try to fight back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same thing. Like when you travel across the world, you convert your currency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like nothing really changes.
It's just the thing is that stable coins, it comes from an application, right? Everyone can just download the app.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to have the stable coin. It's just that you can't use it at the restaurant, at the grocery store, at all these places because it's been officially banned by the country.
Yeah.
And so, they'll just quickly convert it and then use it. But they rather hold stable coins.
Interesting. Man, what a world. What a future we're heading into, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, stable coins. Who would have thunk? The thing that like everybody was mortified by back in 2017,
Yeah.
It's like this is clearly going to be like the black swan for crypto.
Yeah, it never happened.
I remember those days. I myself was too scared to use Tether, which was a big mistake.
Yep.
The utility of being able to peg in and out of these crypto markets prove very useful in volatile times,
Yeah, I remember it being so foreign. Like, man, you can create a cryptocurrency and it just doesn't move? Like, that's weird.
You just convert everything into some digibuck and it just stays stable. Which, I
was like, man, that's a pretty cool innovation.
Yeah. And then, but the people who issue this thing, like, there's been no audits.
Correct. Yeah.
There's like zero transparency.
Yeah.
And it's like at any moment, this thing could just become valueless.
Yeah.
That was the fear back in those days. And a lot of people were like, that's for sure going to happen at some point. So, interface with Tether at your own discretion. Right.
Yeah.
And then here we are almost a decade later.
They're making billions per quarter.
It's on its way to being the best company on earth.
Yep.
Better than anything Elon could have thought of.
Yep. And this is not that many people in the company.
Yeah, which makes it the best why it's the best company on earth, right?
Correct.
It's like you essentially just need like one of those like little birds that do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
To run the damn show.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much to it. It's incredible. And then now like everybody is going to replicate that.
Yep.
Like that is the big breakthrough.
Yep. First is first. They're going to remain a superpower as a result. So what does this have to do with NAT? I'm here to listen about the NAT token. I keep hearing about this on Twitter. It's like, what is this? Why are you guys talking about macroeconomic situations?
Yeah. Answer that question, dude. Why? Who the hell, for one, who would?
Well, I think we have to make a few assumptions here is that Bitcoin will win out in this war. It will win out. Yeah. So countries will buy gold. United States will be acquiring Bitcoin through their strategy, right? Their own strategy. Yeah. And this is the same historical positioning that occurred maybe about, I don't know, let's say less than 100 years ago, where countries had to make a decision. Either I buy gold or I buy silver. Some bought silver like China, and United States bought gold or took gold, and really that's what happened. And then the United States ended up winning. and China lost. And so now the new gold is Bitcoin. So United States making the right decision and everyone else making the wrong decision. So that's an assumption.
Right.
Right. So if that plays out and Bitcoin ends up winning, well, Bitcoin requires a security budget. And so,
yeah.
And the reason why the security budget of Bitcoin is so important is because that's what gives its value.
Yes.
And the reason why it gives it its value is because it is based on like how much energy consumption there is, and it's all this like physics stuff.
Yeah, but still, before you get into that, it's like you say it needs a security to avoid exactly what? Because I don't know. We obviously explained this in the white paper and probably on this channel a bunch, but still, like whenever you verbalize this in any conversation, whether it's here or like on a Twitter space, I don't know if humanity has the contextual understanding of like a digital or cyber attack in the context of Bitcoin. And I think that's sorely lacking in a sense, kind of in the same ways like people seem to be very hesitant in reacting to the potential ramifications of a global warming because humanity has no contextual understanding of what that actually looks like what that actually does. In the same way, in the same breath, you try to explain the idea, the proposition. It's like we really should allocate as much of a certain threshold of our available resources to build like a military budget, a military expense, to avoid the potential of some sort of external attack. It's like
for sure.
We all have that contextual understanding of how important that is. Even so, some people still disagree and they think we should defund the military.
Yeah, which is incorrect.
Those people are crazy.
Yeah.
Or they're not paying attention to reality.
Yeah, they just don't understand how things work.
Right. But because we have that contextual understanding, we see what's happened into Ukraine. We see what happens. Like, did you not see like missiles, hypersonic missiles come out of nowhere and just destroy towns? And
it's insane. It's really hard to believe, like watching these videos, that this shit is actually happening.
Right. But we've all seen it. So we've felt it. And we understand it, so it's like we have this innate fear of that ever happening to us, right? So we're much more receptive to the idea of increasing the cost of attack to prevent that from happening. But in this case scenario, I don't know, because it's never happened to Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's a lot to say. Because when you first get into Bitcoin, one of the early sayings that you hear is "not your keys, not your Bitcoin." So that implies security, right? That implies that you need to take custody of your own Bitcoin. So you need to secure your own Bitcoin, right? Through hardware wallets, stamp the words into some piece of metal and go, dig a hole in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
So you take custody of your assets. So there's a burden of security that you have to trust yourself with. And so you're already thinking about that from that perspective as someone new into the cryptocurrency space, right? But what you're saying is it's easy to understand a physical attack because, I've never been stabbed before.
You have not.
Right. So, but I can imagine that that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I already intuitively know that.
Yeah. Like you've probably cut your finger before.
Sure.
Like, when you're chopping up your pork.
Yeah.
Pork loins.
Yeah.
A little nick here is like, damn, imagine that. Like in the gut.
Yeah, exactly.
That would really hurt.
Yeah. So you can imagine that. And so you protect yourself against that. Like I make sure I don't cut myself. I make sure that I'm looking at my surroundings when I'm in public spaces. I'm paying attention.
Avoid buses.
Yes. Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right. So that is intuitive, but security, like protecting your credit cards or protecting your identity online, like these are not like obvious things. They become obvious after you've been attacked. After you have to deal with the ramifications of an identity theft. And then it's like, man, I should have taken the security measures so that I didn't waste all my time and energy trying to correct things.
Yeah.
And so eventually, I think just like the United States, the people that run the country, they understand that the military budget is very, very important. Despite the people who are saying that it's not, they don't get it, right? The people in the White House, they do get it. They're going to continuously spend for that security. And so eventually people, I think, will understand in that intuitive way that we need to continuously spend to secure Bitcoin. Eventually, now today it's not so obvious, right? But I don't think it would be a good idea that the United States onboards this new digital gold, and then all of a sudden the country like China undermines it, and then just this whole thing unravels.
Or this like alignment of countries, not just China, right?
Yeah,
because
that's right.
Remember, there's a whole world out there that's kind of like fed up with this this apparatus at hand that continually, gives one acting entity like full leverage and control over this system. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, now they fully adopted this new mechanism to reinforce this global hegemony, but there's this like very obvious vector of vulnerability to it, and all of us combined could easily architect a way, maybe subtly build this like hardware infrastructure layer to and all our powers combined, literally.
Yeah, 100%.
We could secretly attack Bitcoin for whatever X amount of period of blocks that are necessary for this to actually
undermine the whole thing. Yeah.
And then, guess what? You couldn't do that to gold unless you're able to like invent nano attacks to like degrade the molecular structure of it.
That's right.
All of a sudden, gold in the universe just becomes copper. It's like, oops.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Now that Russia is talking about the United States strategy, they're talking about it publicly. Mm-hmm. This isn't like some behind the curtains like gamesmanship trying to position themselves around the United States. They're talking about it publicly. Mm-hmm. So if they're doing that, then they understand the implications of the United States winning the next 100 years in terms of money. And so if Bitcoin ends up winning, which I think it will, that means that there is a vested interest in other countries mounting an attack against Bitcoin.
I would think so. I would expect that. Because I don't know, it's a what is it called? It's a bloodless attack. No human has to really be sacrificed to commit this kind of attack.
Yeah, the Lazarus Group from North Korea, they've successfully attacked the CIA, other government institutions, companies. Like this is a state-sponsored hacker. And they've successfully attacked the United States. There's an active cyber war happening right now. So this is just another version of it.
Yeah. So these very smart people in the White House, right, who has Trump out there dancing for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And right, they should know this already.
Oh yeah, they know this. If I know this, they know this.
Agreed. So they know this. So, what do you think they have strategically planned? If part of their plan is the shadow accumulation through other entities like MicroStrategy and BlackRock.
So the way that they would do this is probably through policy, right? So they just pass the Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act, and this encourages the exportation of the devaluing debt, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to say, if you run a miner at your house, we're going to give you some subsidies. We're going to give you tax discounts. And so they're going to encourage Americans to run a Bitcoin core and actually mine Bitcoin as a subsidy so that we maintain the power to protect it from state actor attack.
Interesting.
So I think the United States understands they need to consume a lot more energy than the energy being generated by other countries to prevent an attack on the United States. And so you need additional security, right? You need if that happens, it continuously gets centralized, and there could be some sort of attack through censorship or whatever. And so we need a security budget that continuously goes up, and then hence that's why we have the NAT token.
But isn't the act of like putting a miner in everybody's house like?
Yeah, but that's not going to be good enough, right? That it'll stem an attack, like it'll make it harder, but state actors, right? They have way more energy potential than, a bunch of people, right? With one miner at their house.
Right. but nonetheless, like so in the context of knowing that, you know, a state actor or a group of them could attack, you know, the Bitcoin, which is now a core component
Yeah.
to the economic layer. So they have to altruistically start providing their own like contributions
Sure.
to prevent that from happening, right? Like that is the assumption, I guess, to make.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again has like trade-off implications from a like an ethos perspective.
Well, centralized.
Right? Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, which we question it again in the NAT paper, which is why we think it's important to kind of start there to kind of, you know, reinforce your understanding of the situation of today, which is different from the situation of, you know, Satoshi's era, right?
Yeah.
It was much different times back then.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, back then was like the foundations were first beginning to rattle, and then like the conscious awareness of like, you know, the monetary system is showing signs of instability, and there needs to be some sort of like counter to that.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like the premise of why Bitcoin is an important experiment, an important endeavor for humanity, just in case this rattling we've just experienced in 2008 and 2009 extends into like a fucking doomsday scenario where the whole thing just comes crashing
Just
down.
keeps rattling until it crashes.
Yeah. And like, hence Bitcoin, hence why you would buy Bitcoin back then, because you understood that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and if it's not clear, when I say security budget, I mean the revenue that miners make. That is equal. They're the same, right? The revenue that miners make is equal to security budget. Mm-hmm. So the more revenue that they make, the more security budget there is to secure the network.
Right. So that paints the picture of the problem with the current economic design of Bitcoin, right? As of right now, it's solely reliant on the emission and distribution of Bitcoin rewards, right? Block rewards.
Yeah.
Which they diminish in every 4 years.
Yeah.
They get half.
So yeah, Bitcoin needs to double just to maintain the same security budget for an asset that has doubled in market cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to some Twitter spaces recently to some miners, right? People who are actually living this life in real time, not just like thinking about it.
Yeah. So
you know, theory crafting around it. There are people actually out there actually, you know, part of this this puzzle, right? Where they're running the hardware, they're consuming the energy.
Yeah.
And that's literally their life, right? And they host Twitter spaces to talk about this essentially, which we found out. It's like, wow, it's pretty neat. You see what they're talking about. They're bringing up.
They have a Twitter space right now, dude.
There you go, dude. They got a lot to think about, right? It's like, dude, you know, how do we continue our efforts here and essentially grow as a company? Because that is what they are, right? They're spending whatever portion of their revenue that they're earning from participating in the network to either upgrade their hardware or not. Maybe they're just using it to accumulate as much Bitcoin as they can until like their devices run dry. They no longer become like competitive and they just fizzle away. It's like, oh, we just happened to mine a couple thousand Bitcoin.
So remember that. Remember what you just said, because in the scenario where there's subsidies for us homeowners to run a Bitcoin core or Bitcoin mining, I guess ASIC, that ASIC, you know, depreciates 30% year over year, right? It's less powerful than next year's ASIC.
Yeah. Right.
And so just doing that isn't enough to secure Bitcoin. You got to remember, Bitcoin is a race. It is a continuous, nonstop, forever race. Mm-hmm. It is a race against deflationary technology. It is a race against the production of more energy. So these two things counteract each other. It gets easier and easier and cheaper to create hash power on Bitcoin. And we're always on our way to producing more energy. And so if you have the energy, you know, you have supplemental energy, you have enough energy to attack the network. And if you are holding these depreciating assets called mining rigs and you don't continuously update, then it gets cheaper and easier to attack the network. So what do the miners have to do? They have to continuously update their hardware, which is very capital intensive. Mm-hmm. And so this is a black hole of like economics. It never ends. The more you produce, the more you need to consume. And like it just doesn't stop. And that's actually a feature and not a glitch. And so if we can keep up with this race, then you have the most secure money that has ever been built. And I think it's worth, pursuing that.
Yeah, I think so too. So give your assessment of, that first conversation, because I think we're going to have a follow-up here in like a week or two.
Yeah, so one of the first things that they said is that miners are going bankrupt.
Yeah, that was not in context of anything that we contributed to the conversation. We literally just walked in there.
They just offered that information.
Virtually walked in there.
Yeah.
They were just discussing amongst themselves. Yeah. Really, because this is what miners do, right? It's like
it's the business.
Think of it as like you've kind of like peeked your head into the boardroom discussion of like any Fortune 500 company. What are the company executives talking about? It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This competitor over here is about to go bankrupt because they didn't invest in X, Y, and Z thing.
Yeah.
It's like maybe we should consider doing that because we don't also want to go extinct.
Yeah.
Right. But that was kind of interesting to kind of walk in on that. It's like it's like, well, I'm glad you guys brought that up, right? In the context of we just created a white paper and released it a few days before this conversation that directly acknowledges that and attributes it to, some sort of equation of non-sustainability across the board that leads to like a trajectory of more centralization and
and
sort of stuff.
I remember in the early days of kind of learning about Bitcoin through Andreas Antonopoulos, and he would say is like, miners are going to go bankrupt. They're going to have old rigs and they're not going to be able to sustain. So they go out of business, but the network still stays alive. And, that's how it works. And it's fine. That is how it works. Bitcoin is never going to go offline because just a single laptop can run the network.
Yeah, right. The algorithm adjusts.
Exactly. Every 2 weeks, if all of a sudden everybody turns off their rigs, the hash power just drops to hell, you could just flip it on your laptop and you're mining blocks anyways. So that's not the issue. The issue is that if only one laptop is running Bitcoin, well, you just need another laptop to attack it. And why would you store your wealth in that, right?
Yeah. Or append an entire country's future to that.
Yes. Yeah. So they offered that information. We were like, okay, so let me tell you what it means for a Bitcoin mining company to go bankrupt. It means that it's good for the existing miners because they get just a little bit more of the pie, but the network gets a little bit more centralized.
Yeah, just a tad.
Right, just a tad bit.
Yeah.
And then, so no big deal, right, guys? Well, yeah. I mean, if you play this out, more and more companies go bankrupt. It gets a little bit more centralized. The United States starts buying Bitcoin or adopting it in whatever way. All of a sudden, the United States is left, and they're the only miners in the ecosystem because everyone else went bankrupt. And
there's just too many other competing forces. The big one being
AI. Yeah, that was the other part of the discussion that they were having.
Yeah, it seems to be like within the mining community, it has to be pretty prevalent. It's like, again, you're boardroom executives of a company. You're trying to figure out how to keep this company alive.
How to maintain revenue.
Yeah, and there's this other industry that's like churning money out, and like all we have to do is redirect our resources to them.
So then what does that mean?
Again.
Yeah, so that means your revenue from Bitcoin is like, do I spend it more on new ASICs or do I diversify my risk and I help, the AI take over?
Yeah,
it's a viable question. I would be thinking about the same thing if I was running that business.
They have to, because again, it's like AI doesn't have this economic flaw where like every 4 years,
it doesn't.
Like the incentives drop off a cliff.
Yeah, the only flaw it could have is like the bubble pops for AI. I mean, AI is still going to be very important, but the attention and awareness of it may go down, and therefore utilization goes down just a tad. And then now you've invested in these general purpose computers that you can still use for Bitcoin, but it's not as efficient and powerful as an ASIC.
Yeah, that's a tough bet, dude. It's like AI is going to all of a sudden become not as useful.
Well, think about it. The hardware continuously gets better every year. So that hardware is less useful for AI because there's better new hardware.
Right, but
So it's kind of almost the same thing.
Yeah, it's a similar situation.
Yeah.
But the point of but the demand for the computational resource drying up at some point.
Well. Also, you got to understand the AI like LLMs. They require starting better and better hardware every single time.
So you're saying it's even more competitive.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah, like for a small fish, which X, Y, or Z mining company might be. They might just not be positioned or whatever to keep up with that kind of accelerate growth rate.
Yeah, in either case, it's a hard business.
Yeah.
But the point is that the miners have to make a decision, right? There's I can see my revenues cut in half every single year and hope Bitcoin doubles just to maintain the lights.
Yeah, which right now it's in one of the other things that the miners said. It's because Bitcoin's in a good zone right now, like 120K and above. That's money making zone for them. I remember when Bitcoin was crabbing around 70, 80, 90K, miners were bleeding and they were very fearful at that time. It's dude, we might all just die.
Yep.
At least the inefficient ones, right? The ones at the top, they're doing fine typically in most scenarios, right?
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, because they're in the money making zone, there's nothing to worry about, which is kind of again, you only had 20, 30 minutes to really kind of go into, which really is not even, even tip of the iceberg.
I didn't even talk about NAT.
Yeah, you were just kind of trying to get an understanding of there's some problems here, right?
Yeah. So then it got to our part, right? So they spent about 30, 40 minutes talking about all kinds of other stuff. So finally they're all right, I had some questions around the NAT token and I was well, before we talk about NAT, I think it makes sense to make sure that we're all on the same page here. And I started talking about the store of value narrative, which I do agree with. I think that's the best application of Bitcoin, right? It's not peer-to-peer cash. And so as a result of a store of value strategy for Bitcoin, that means less and less transactions will occur on Bitcoin. And so some of them sort of disagreed, and they just assumed that in the future, with more adoption, that they would just naturally have more transactions in the network. And yeah, with more people on the network, I think there will be more transactions. However, it's not going to be enough to sustain security budget for Bitcoin. It's just will not. Just because block sizes are so big and it's a terrible user experience using Bitcoin. So I think stablecoins are just going to blow Bitcoin out of the water in terms of velocity. Okay. In terms of store of value, you cannot beat Bitcoin. It's unbeatable as long as we don't stay complacent. So remember that. So there's a little bit of pushback with that. And I understand that essentially when you're trying to understand the problem, we are basically saying that the revenues of miners are going down, and they say that they're fine because Bitcoin is doubling, at least doubling. And so that is okay, but Bitcoin cannot double forever. And so let's assume that it did. And so I was going through this whole kind of mind process here. And if it did all the way to 2140, if Bitcoin just doubles, then each Bitcoin will be worth $53 trillion. And so if you do the math, that's essentially 11 million times the global GDP of the planet. And that assumes zero inflation. And so, they didn't, it's hard to comprehend what that means because I'm talking about exponentials, and it's very hard for our minds to really grasp what an exponential means.
Yeah.
But once you do the math yourself and you are honest, you'll know that it will be impossible for Bitcoin to double forever, right? And so, and I told them, even if it did, right, we did, everyone got rich. Everyone who's holding Bitcoin has $53 trillion worth of value. Congrats, right? The problem with that is that you have a $1.2 septillion asset being protected by $30 billion in security. So I said that's like protecting a fortress with a grain of sand.
I think you said it's like throwing a penny at a tank.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Which I think is more hilarious.
Yeah.
I can imagine that it's like a tank is coming at you. It's like I got this one.
Yeah, let me launch a penny.
You just get steamrolled, dude.
Yeah.
In that scenario.
Yeah. So
and the other one I like too is the just kind of like represent the, I guess, the absurdity of the value, that value assumption. It's like that what is it, 1.2
septillion
is equivalent to every grain of sand on Earth being worth $150.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, you could go to the beach, TJ, and scoop up a grain of sand, and you'll be holding millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. Not a big beach guy, but that might make me make the trip.
What about those little sandboxes in the baseball diamond? They have sand out there, right? Don't you like?
Yeah, including those.
Some sand around. Yeah, dude, that's pretty expensive baseball setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to play in the mud, dude.
Yeah.
On some clay.
Yeah, imagine each like stadium like that requires that sand pit. It's like trillions and trillions of dollars.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's just, I mean, sure, you could choose to believe that will happen.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that is like the definition of complacency, right? It's like it's not acknowledging some sort of, it's like a unquantifiable mathematical outcome.
It requires an unlikely outcome.
Yeah.
That is so unlikely that it's really hard to comprehend.
Yeah, so it's easier for our brains to just kind of like delete that.
Yeah, it's just like I didn't hear nothing. Let me just like stick with my business. I don't want to.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, right now things are humming, right? So whatever, dude.
Right. Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of that because clearly this is part of the running experience when it comes to navigating, NAT.
Yeah.
Moving forward, right? We're on this perpetual path now of increasing awareness of this problem. Yeah.
So what you were saying is like ultimately, if we believe Bitcoin will double, we're going to stay complacent. And I invite everybody to go through the history books and pick a time when complacency actually led to a good outcome, right? Because I'd like to see it. And I'm pretty sure that you won't be able to find a time where complacency was good. And Bitcoin requires no complacency. And we cannot do that because this experiment can fail.
Yeah.
Right? If Michael Saylor just continues to ignore this problem, he's going to hurt himself and the United States and everyone holding Bitcoin. And we cannot have that happen. Yeah. And I remember Elon's quote. He says that technology requires effort, right? Technology does not just organically get better just because you hope and you want. And those people who are not participating in the development of technology, you just feel like technology just gets better. But it takes effort. And so Bitcoin is going to take continuous effort. It's like it's part of its security that it requires the effort.
Right, yeah.
And so we can't stay complacent. And what NAT offers is additional revenue for the miners.
Right.
So that we don't stay complacent.
Yeah, and you're not subjected to a reality of like state-sponsored sustainment, essentially.
Yeah, which is centralized and therefore censorship, and therefore we don't have Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not Bitcoin anymore.
Which I think, kind of addresses the main takeaway of that conversation, right? It's like, hey, we're miners. Once we kind of get to understand this stuff, cool, right? But you're telling us we're already receiving it.
Yeah.
Once we figure out how to actually offload it, who's going to be there on the other side to actually buy it from me? Because I'm going to let you know now, I'm for sure going to sell this stuff.
Please sell it. Absolutely. We want you to sell it. The whole point of miners earning the second subsidy is to sell it.
Yeah.
That's what we want you to do. That's a good thing for the network.
Yeah, but they're skeptical, right? It's like, there's no way anybody's going to buy this, right? It's like, tell me who.
Yeah.
Who's going to be there to buy this stuff?
Yeah, so we just added one more question to the FAQ because this was such a good question. And then I'll just read it here. It says, who will buy NAT? It says, those who buy NAT are the passionate defenders of financial freedom, the same people who rallied behind Bitcoin to escape fiat's endless money printing and hidden inflation taxes that rob everyday savers while benefiting the powerful. They spot the risk in Bitcoin's halvings. Assuming prices will double forever to keep miners' rewards is unrealistic, potentially leading to mining, centralization, and the single entity controlling or censoring transactions. NAT buyers step up to prevent this by investing in the token that gives miners a lasting extra subsidy, linked directly to the Bitcoin's bits field, which without touching the 21 million cap of Bitcoin, creating stronger network security. So they're Bitcoin purists, ordinal creators, and savvy miners like Ampool and Spiderpool who view NAT as a vital shield for decentralization, driven by the same revolutionary spirit of empowerment and resistance that started it all. So the reason why this is important is because the same people who understand the impact of Bitcoin in the context of like the global fiat system are the same people who understand that if this plays out without a solution, we're going to have a centralized currency. Bitcoin miners are on their way to going bankrupt and therefore centralizing, and therefore Bitcoin is not Bitcoin anymore. So if you understand that, you're going to buy NAT because you want Bitcoin to remain decentralized.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. And then there's like other assumptions around that too, right? Factor in the idea that where Bitcoin is in the macro situation, and the United States having to, or what seems at least having to lever Bitcoin in order to keep this train moving. Part of that process of integration and due diligence will at some point in time inevitably lead to them publicly discussing these same things we're kind of like doing here on these podcasts or in these spaces.
They will 100% do that. Why? Because Bitcoin will all of a sudden stop doubling.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're saying sometime even sooner than that.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
We're talking short-term horizon, maybe even before Trump leaves his office. Right. It's like, because you got to convince the public, you got to convince Congress, you got to convince both sides of the political aisle that this is like a prudent or not, or you can just executive order your way through everything. Right. It's kind of like the new fashion.
Sure.
But nonetheless, you have to disclose a lot of due diligence, whether it's some sort of committee that's heading this research and this dissemination. But part of that will have to be a collective understanding of what Bitcoin actually is, because there's still I don't think there's a real consensus around that, even within Bitcoiners.
No, absolutely
even
not.
within potentially miners.
Yeah.
Right. So trying to convince the government and the public of this thing. This thing is the new digital gold. They're going to have to discover NAT at some point or not, right? Yeah. Especially if we can get it to that which is kind of outlined in the NAT paper, these objective milestones from a market cap perspective.
Yeah.
That $1 to $6 billion tranche is where that
awareness
inflection point is not avoidable, right? Where you can't have an intelligent discussion around Bitcoin without also factoring in NAT along
100%.
with it, right? Because it is in parity with the fee subsidy value.
100%, yeah.
So that really is, and that's a very achievable goal in the short-term horizon.
Absolutely.
This doesn't require mass-scale government adoption to get it to $1 billion.
Yeah, Fartcoin went to almost $3 billion.
Dog went to $1 billion.
Yeah.
What else?
Bonk, $2.5 billion.
Yeah. PayPay, $15 billion.
Virtuals,
$5 billion, or no, maybe 3.5.
Yeah, these don't have the implication that NAT has.
Right. Yeah, so all this really means is a few variables here and there, meaning more liquidity access. Which, if you haven't noticed, things are going up. Things are moving. We got some exchanges that are very soon about to support NAT.
Bit.com.
Yeah. Uniswap's volume, TVL, continues to increase daily.
Yeah, 150,000 in TVL.
Volume's creeping up as well.
Yeah.
So this is good. And then there's other things in the works. Ordinal's wallet clearly is aligned.
Yep.
And it's supporting NAT and improving the user experience. Right. And it's to the point where it's now outpacing Magic Eden's own volume. Right.
Yeah. Not only that, Magic Eden has chimed in. And is recognizing the the noise that the community is making.
Yeah.
They're like, Magic Eden, when NAT and ordinals volume is on fire, and then the intern is like, I'm going to tell my boss. I'm going to run and tell my boss.
I'm looking for that promotion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, hey, boss, I hear there's this thing out there called NAT. You know, our competitors are crushing us.
Yeah.
And then he's like, shit, you're right. I'm glad we hired this guy.
Yeah. It's like,
you know,
you're going to receive a bonus.
Yeah. Once we inevitably list NAT, because it's not that hard from their perspective, right? They already support tap.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Tap
It's easy.
wallet yeah. It's like,
It's a few button flips and switches and
we're on there.
Yeah.
We're live. Right. And that Magic Eden, if you're listening, that's an opportunity.
yeah.
Right. And again, and this extrapolate from here, like these are just like early day occurrences.
Yeah.
They, so long as the momentum increases over time, which again is a direct factor to our ability and others
Yeah.
at, you know, increasing awareness again to this core understanding of a very big problem,
Yeah.
which we understand is it's not easy to explain. I mean, we're obviously experiencing ourselves,
Yes.
interfacing with others.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Benny said it best. If you're a miner and you want to quickly understand NAT and just like a simple equation, if Bitcoin is money, Bitcoin plus NAT equals more money.
All right, dude, send it. I mean, just we could close the call now, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? That's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
So there's a couple more things before we go. What do you think? Casey and Aaron, they picked their meta protocol of the century, and they picked DMT and NAT.
And all the on-chain schizos that come with it.
Yeah, and the schizos.
That's us, dude. I mean,
could there be another choice?
I mean, there's a lot of choices actually.
Yeah, could there be though? Really, could have.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, there could have been other choices, but should there have been another choice? I mean, from our perspective, we've been saying this. I mean, no, it's the reason why. It's like we see and we respect the builders out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of work to dev in this space, in this industry, right? So everybody deserves some sort of like round of applause for even trying.
Yes.
Right? But we've been around the block. You know?
Yeah, block runners.
Wow.
See what I did there? We've been around the block for a bit, dude, and we've seen a lot of things. And what we're always looking for is like some new thing, right? And that's becoming harder and harder to achieve these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Casey and others, when they do their analysis of like what's out there, I think they come also pre-programmed with that same expectations.
100%.
I need to see something new here.
Yep.
Something that I haven't seen on like a million other chains. And most of this other stuff is that. It's just it's the same old regurgitation, but this time on Bitcoin, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Some percentage of it.
Yeah.
Eventually gets to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that's not as interesting as like a complete reinterpretation of digital manifestation and
value production. Yeah.
And yeah. So I'm not surprised,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm not either, dude. I'm not either.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had a Twitter space recently just for their subscribers, and we couldn't listen to it because we're not subscribing.
Yeah.
So
We suck.
yeah, sucks to suck.
Yeah.
So there was another thing before we go. So we got bit.com. Here's the Quantum Expeditions Twitter space, which we were talking about. So definitely listen. We got Mark Moss. There's definitely one more thing. Oh, the Twitter space today. So the Twitter space today, hosted by Rome. So shout out to Rome. He's a killer out there.
Absolutely.
We started talking about DATs, DAT strategy. So digital asset treasury companies.
Like MicroStrategy.
Like MicroStrategy, yes. Yeah. And what I realized in the Twitter space, and I don't think it was necessarily obvious, was that the reason why strategy works, MicroStrategy, is because it is built upon this asset that has number go up technology. So if it goes up, the strategy continues working, right? Mm-hmm. So Bitcoin has a tendency to go up. So what I realized today is that NAT, I think, can have a tendency to also go up. So it potentially might have number go up technology. So here's why. NAT is the countermeasure to the deflationary technology of humanity. Mm-hmm. So deflationary technology, again, is cheaper, faster, better technology.
Right.
And so when things get cheaper, faster, and better, that means that it's easier to attack Bitcoin because it's cheaper and faster, right? And so if it's easier to attack Bitcoin, guess what the security budget needs to do? It needs to go up.
Accelerate.
Right.
Yeah.
So once it accelerates, then you can protect yourself from a deflationary aspect of your attack vector. And so if that is true, and you build a digital asset treasury company using the NAT token, it has that number go up requirement. And so I think you can fulfill the same strategies on top of NAT that you can on top of Bitcoin. So I haven't really thought through this thought process, but people in the Twitter space, we were talking about it, and it could be a viable path for the NAT token in some future.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not like viability is even like the core factor of whether or not you should do these things or not. It's clearly it is like the today industry mold of how you accelerate the growth of any digital asset. Seems to be.
It is. Right? It is. But
it's becoming that. And yeah, like who knows?
Yeah. Can you successfully do this with Story Protocol? In my opinion, I don't think you can. But you can with Bitcoin. Now, there's some wrong ways to do it, and there's some right ways to do it. It's not always going to be successful with Bitcoin. There's going to be some bankruptcies there as well. But the underlying requirement for a successful DAT strategy is number go up. And I think you can have that with NAT. It just needs more awareness.
Yeah, but things can advance from just that alone, right?
Sure.
That's the case for Bitcoin, because we don't expect Bitcoin to become anything other than just some sort of like some programmatic way to, arbitrarily increase the scarcity ratio of this thing, right? So therefore, it's perceivably more valuable every 4 years. And therefore, number go up. You can add other layers of value creation around some other digital asset, like an Ethereum.
Yeah.
That doesn't have that, but still has other producible results, like the onboarding of stablecoin flows, and therefore it's actually generating billions and maybe even hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue in the future because of all these L2s and such. These are things that Bitcoin does not do at the moment.
So that was my other part of the conversation, is that if you do not have number go up technology, then you need some sort of business to have that buy pressure.
Correct.
Otherwise, if you don't have one of those two things, ideally both, which you can do both with NAT, but if you don't have one of those two things, you are guaranteed to fail. Yeah. Guaranteed.
100%. Yeah, that's why it's like everybody should at least, or the understanding of probably will become is like everyone should at least give the attempt, right? So that way you have like liquidity exposure to both sides of the market, and then increasing your probability, I guess, of achieving some sort of favorable outcome that leads to viability long term.
Yeah.
But as we've seen with any new market mechanism that gets introduced, typically 99% fail. Yeah. The 1% are the truly strong survivors, and they end up becoming something of like fruitful contribution.
Yeah, multi-$100 billion companies.
That's right. So we're here for it, dude.
All right. So if you guys want to do a NAT DAT, hit us up, because we have no idea how to do that.
Nor do we have any money.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Finally, that's it for us. So we got the community hitting up via BTC at some of these conferences.
Yeah, they're predicting that they're the next one, dude.
Via BTC. If you have some questions about NAT, hit us up. We got the answers.
For sure. 100%.
And that's it for us. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. That has been the Block Runner. If you are a Psycho Nat, definitely let us know in the comment section below. We appreciate you guys, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.